It seems about time to get this party started. Welcome, everyone, to the Tuesday night Vision Corsa IndyCar Racing Series presented by the Prodigy Racing Association. Thomas Cuthbert, also known as Orion, I in here with you as we prepare for today's contest. This should be an especially exciting one. We return to the road course, but first, as always, we're going to go through the league and how we work so everyone knows exactly what to expect. Let me make sure all my levels are correct. Got to make sure I can hear myself just fine. I also need to get the game booted up as we are headed to a special place for IndyCar. IndyCar, we're using the Dallara IR18 with a mix of road courses and ovals. 13 races total, and all-star races in the mix of that. That would be the Daytona race, a $50 prize for the winner of that race. So 12 races in the regular season, 6 on the road courses, and 6 on the ovals. Total prize pool is $375. First place gets $130, second $75, third $40, fourth $20, fifth $10. And there's also a $50 prize for winning the most points in oval races. We did get a quick look at the oval standings, although we were not able to prep that for you today. We'll make sure to get that done as we prep for our next oval race. Today we're going to the road courses. It's Tuesday night's realistic weather, which means that anything can happen. It's usually based on the weather of the region that we're headed to at the time of the race. 75% fuel capacity. That is booted up. Good. Okay. So that's ready. I believe this is working as well. Yes, it is. Good, good, good. Let me get that off the board. Probably that as well. Yeah. Okay. That's good. All right. Everything's working well on the other side, so we can get back to talking about how this league works. One faster pair with all tire options available. Oval races are going to have a green-white checkered. Only one, though. Lucky Dog and Wave Around rules are active, and a start and restart will both be on the iRacing green. For the points, the top 5 qualifiers will earn points. It goes 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 in that regard. Race points go 45 for the winner, 40 for second, then you'll drop a point per position from there, as far down as we can go. You get a bonus point for leading a lap, a bonus point for leading the most laps in the race, and a bonus point for scoring the fastest lap in the race. And then you'll get 5 points for leading at the halfway mark of oval races. Not applicable for today. Also got to make sure all our programs are up and running here. Come on, get this up and rolling. Things should be good. Unfortunately, one of our drivers got betrayed by a trading paints malfunction. Showed up in a gorgeous team livery alongside. Oh, that's a big crash. Okay, everything should be good there. Let's keep on rolling. 4 events are going to feature double points. Those are races 2, 6, 8, and 12. And as well as that, severe caution violations can result in being granted last place points. Speaking of cautions, here's how they work. On the ovals, they'll use the iRacing caution system, which had some moments of I probably wouldn't throw a caution, but fair enough to, yeah, that's caution worthy. Yeah. Almost red flag worthy sometimes. On the road courses, it will be the PRA caution system only, which means that a multi-car crash will result in a caution flag coming out, and a single car crash will often not. As a matter of fact, straight will not. If 2 cars spin out on opposite sides of the circuit, even if they end up crashing into a wall, we're going to keep on racing. Caution laps are going to count, except for the All-Star race. We'll get to that when we get to the All-Star race in a couple weeks from now. A failure to yield under caution will result in being given a black flag for a lap and causing enough damage to another driver to the point where they have to retire the car. You will be parked, disqualified, and given last place points for the race. A look at the schedule. We had the race at Homestead, Miami on the 23rd. Today is the Indy road course. We'll go to the Indy Oval next week, and then the All-Star race to wrap up the first half of the season. And yes, it'll be the Grand Prix at Indianapolis. We went with a bit of new school with Homestead, Miami to old school, a proper IndyCar track for today. Having a look at our list of drivers as per usual. Min Hang drives the number 1. flanked by Daniel Borgert-Pepping at the number 2. It's Richard Murray who will drive the number 4 car. Vitor Guilherme in the number 5. Landon Lacey drives the 6. Lynn Scott the 8. Joe Nurton the 10. Austin LeBlanc the 11. Austin LeBlanc has more been in the administrative role, and while has registered for points on the standings, due to not scoring a single point, we do not show them on the standings, as they have taken a secondary role and may race under different circumstances. Those circumstances not available to him today. Marla Duncan drives the 12. She's had quite the season so far on the oval tracks. Now needs to return to the road courses and get some strength on there. Andrew Clark, the 13. Jimmy Salo, the 14. Aaron Fontaine drives the 18, the long-lasting PRA member, part of all sorts of series that the Prodigy Racing Association holds. Mitchell Hamilton drives the 21. We said hello to Matthew Morgan last week. We said hello to George Griffiths a long time ago, who is still as dominant as ever, as we got some big crashes that are taking place on the road course. In fact, we just had it back-to-back. George Griffiths drives the 025, Adam Miller the 25. The 26 car is driven by Kyle Deckard, joined by Aiden Hill, who drives the 27. Rodney Roberts drives the 29, has been in and out of the races, both to compete and also to help in the officials side of things. Jeffrey Goodpaster drives the 33. Javier Lopez, the 36. Alex Jones, your winner for the IndyCar Series in Season 2, will drive the 45. Guillermo Perez drives the 52 with Nick Polliard in the 55. It's Parker Dime who drives the 57, joined by Morgan Smith in the 58. Fozzie Fazzillo drives the 61. Byron Bailey, the 64. Matthias Marcumini, the 77. It's Jacob Schneider in the 81. Daniel Blanco in the 82. Joey Kuba, also one of the more administrative roles in the 93 car. To wrap it up, it's Spencer Torrance in the 120. Austin Dilt in the 144. Brandon Farley in the 327. And Brad Morath in the 384. No new drivers to introduce for today. And I believe no last place points will be handed out today, at least for prior registration. So we jump directly into the standings. It's George Griffiths who leads the way with 224. Marlo Duncan's victory last week brings her total up to 195, and the gap from first to second down to 29. Aiden Hill in third with a 177. Jacob Schneider tied with Adam Miller for P4 at 175. Brad Morath, 165 in P6. Joe Nurton, Rodney Roberts, Jimmy Salo, and Brandon Farley round out the top 10. For the top 20, it's Spencer Torrance, Byron Bailey, Nick Polliard, and Matthias Marcumini, the last remaining drivers with 100-plus points. Hopefully with today, that will change. Min Hang, Daniel Blanco, Landon Lacey, Aaron Fontaine, Alex Jones, and Parker Dime round out your top 20. We are almost at a full third page of standings as well. 29 drivers have registered points in this series. Matt Morgan, Andrew Clark, Guillermo Perez, Javier Lopez, Vitor Guilherme, Austin Diltz, Morgan Smith, Fozzie Fazzillo, and Mitchell Hamilton as your final drivers for the standings. And that gives us time to go directly into our next little race. But first we need to check something here. Something has sometimes gone wrong. That is way too short. All right, let's get that sorted. We've got a crash on the board. We're going to have quite a few of those as the drivers have been struggling out here on the road course. So let's get on the track and have a look at how things are rolling. Welcome in, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Let's get everything up and rolling. We're missing a couple things. Let's get our drivers on the board, and let's get our track on the board. Only 9 drivers have registered for now. We're about 10 minutes away from the beginning of qualifying, so hopefully we'll get to see more. Just looking to see, we have 2 drivers who are definitely registered but have not gone on the track yet. Oh, no, here's one. That's not what we wanted. Let's try that again. Here's Brandon Farley exiting the pits. Brad Morath out on the track. Both of them have yet to register a lap time, but have some time to do that. We're going to take a bit of a break on our end. We'll keep the feed going on the track. It's the Indy Road Course for the Prodigy Racing Association here on the Tuesday Night IndyCar Series when we return. just a few minutes. Oh, well, okay. We're just a few minutes away from the end of the practice session. The drivers will be parked pretty soon so that we can get rolling with our qualifying for today, the Indy Road Course here. Race 5 of 12 for the regular season. It'll be no playoffs. It's whoever has the most points at the end is the champion. It's a pretty light race today as Duncan ends up in a spin out. So far, 13 drivers have registered for today, although I think one of those being Austin LeBlanc, that may end up changing things a little. So as of now, George Griffiths leads the pack by about half a second. Next best driver, Spencer Torrance. Minhang in third right now with Adam Miller and Marlo Duncan in the top 5. Perret, Hill, Roberts, Marath, and Polliard rounding out the top 10 for drivers out there today. We'll see if Marcumini will be joining us on the track. Right now has not registered the car on the track yet. Farley has been out there but has not put a lap time up. As Austin LeBlanc has yet to put a quick time up, and it seems that will stay that way. Unless that wasn't the finish line. Uh-oh. Little squirrely. Ah, I see. This camera angle is a wondrous thing. That was... Wow, that's terrible. All the way around the oval. Oh, is LeBlanc just messing around going around the oval? Nope. He's taking the turn. Try to get you some of you lovely people rolling in here. It's been a bit different. That is... something. Okay, he's in the pits. Today's going to be a bit strenuous, it seems like. I'm not doing my best at the moment. And that is the end of the practice session. We now go to qualifying, as we've got a few people in here. Thank you very much to Queen Rat 26 for the follow. One Fast Goose, Incognito, Housed J. Kane, Chaotic Penguin X, M. Morgan, Laura May, and Vitor WG Nesquick. All thank you very much for the follows across the past week. Very much appreciate all the support for the PRA Network channel. We're doing this every Tuesday, except for, I believe it's Halloween. I think it's the Halloween week, or is it Thanksgiving? I don't fully remember, but there's one of the holidays we are taking off. As a matter of fact, we can actually have a look at that for ourselves. If we go over to our race schedule, we can see that it's a Thanksgiving break after Laguna Seca on the 18th. So the week of Thanksgiving will be off, and then we'll head to Michigan to finish up the season. Qualifying set to begin in a few moments. We'll get to see who our first driver on the track is. Let's get on back down here. Will it be Miller? Miller is on the track, so let's go to Miller. Plenty of drivers want to get out there and get those laps started now. Not exactly the best day for myself, but sometimes it's like that. Let's get a bit more of an on-board, shall we? I think we shall. A lot of use of the oval here at Indianapolis for this race. Because there's your start-finish line. Into turn one. A little bit wide of the apex, but still gets most of it and stays on the track, which is the important part. All the way down to second gear for the wide right-hander. A little bit of a chicane heading to this next straightaway before a 90-degree turn to the left. Braking just past the first patch of sand on the right side. Swings around, holding it in second. All the way out. And back on the gas. Another quick slowdown for another right-hander. It'll curve to the left here. Then one last wide swing to the right side, and that's the Indianapolis road course for you today. So that would be Adam Miller getting on the board. Second place right now, 8/10 down from Griffiths, who puts one in the books and heads to the pits. Mark Humini, 0.4 down of Miller, and Aiden Hill will sneak into that third place spot for now. So Griffiths comes out of the pits. Looks like he wanted to just send it without taking that turn one. Doing a bit of improvisation in the room at the moment. We are currently standing up because I am not capable of sitting down at the moment. My chest is too tight, so just keeping it real. Letting you all know what's going on. I am okay. I'm just taking care of myself. And what that means is it's going to be a little bit different than what you're used to here on Tuesday nights. Apologies for that if you're expecting a little bit more energy. Currently just not in the cards. Min Hang jumps up to second place. Now half a second down of Griffiths. Not bad from Hang at all. And Adam Miller takes it right back. The two of them separated by 1/10 of a second. Trying to fight for those qualifying points. Right now, Griffiths has a strong lead. Marlo Duncan right now sitting at about 6th place on the board as Torrance has a pretty big crash. And around goes Duncan. So she'll end up spinning out and head to the pits. Maybe trying it again. I believe has a couple laps on the board to work with. So both Torrance and Duncan head to the pit lane. Aiden Hill's been a big part of this. I almost said GT3 series. That's incorrect. Of this IndyCar series, providing some of the graphics available for us and also bringing HSW to the Prodigy Racing Association. We've got, what do we have going on over here? There's a bit of a bit going on there, but I'm not going to worry about that. Aiden Hill heads to the line. I believe has maybe one more lap to go. We'll pull off and call it a day. Currently holding 4th position. I think a good one to keep an eye on will be Duncan. No, she will not be out on the track. So Duncan will be missing out on qualifying points, while Griffiths looks to claim the full 5. Let's pop this out, make sure that everyone can be seen, and we can also stay focused on this feed. There we go. Perfect. Can I keep this always on top? That'd be good. I'd like to do that. Maybe this? So Griffith's having a little bit of fun. I think may have had a track cut and will take a spin and spear himself into the wall and go for a tailspin. That's I know that's black flag worthy in real life, but here in iRacing, we're just having a bit of fun. I think that will do it for qualifying. Let me just go down the list, see if anyone is out on the track. We still have Guillermo Perez. Spencer Torrance still trying to put a time on the board. I think has time to work with. A couple minutes. You can get a lap in there or two. Goes around the bends here, so it looks like getting started with his final lap is Torrance. Trying to put a time on the board and move a little bit closer up the grid. So only 12 drivers will be on the grid today, which will... But luckily for a lot of us, it's many of the top drivers out on the board. So if we have a look again at the standings, we are keeping an eye on this lap. It's Griffiths, Duncan, Hill, Schneider, Miller, and the top 5. 4 of those 5 drivers here today. Rodney Roberts also joining us, will be likely moving up that list with a couple of drivers missing out of this top 10. Could also be a chance for some of these drivers to possibly move up into the top 10. Spencer Torrance especially will have a good chance at that. Already being so close up the board. Nick Polliard should have a good chance, as well as Mark Humini. And Torrance has completed a lap and has moved up to 2nd place on the grid. So while Duncan doesn't get the qualifying points, teammate Torrance does. And I believe that will put us right at about the end of the session. We got about a minute 25 left in qualifying. Some words will be had with Roberts to the rest of the drivers, as per usual. Let's throw this over here. Make sure we can see all of you. Perfect. Welcome in, everyone. It's a bit quieter on my end, and I apologize for that in advance, but I'm giving you what I got. What do we have here? Looks like nothing too big for today. I wish this monitor would tilt. That'd be really nice. Does it? Oh, it does! Oh, perfect. Okay, good. So I have a standing setup. It's not the most optimal. I think my neck is going to hate me after tonight. But it's what I got. Drivers should be hitting the grid in a few seconds. 10 seconds left in the qualifying session. And then we'll get to see our drivers hitting the grid today. Let me also make sure this is up and running. It was not running before, so that should be good now. That's not what we wanted. Come on, pop that up. You can do it. Are we having trouble here? Nope, we are all good. We got qualifying ready to roll here. As we'll get that out of the way. It's Griffiths in the front with Torrance in P2. Adam Miller takes the 3rd spot with Min Hang in P4 for row number 2. And then your final qualifying point score will be Aiden Hill in P5. Mark Humini at the end of row 3 starts P6. It's Marlo Duncan and Guillermo Perez for row 4. Row 5 for P9 is Brad Morath. Nick Polliard takes P10. And then our final 2 drivers that we will see on the grid will be Rodney Roberts and Brandon Farley. There will be no sights of Austin LeBlanc. That was the wrong one to press, but it's fine. And that will bring the use of this to a close. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. This needs to close as well. Perfect. And we'll need to go over here. It's Adam Miller we're going to have a look at. Currently in the front, as Torrance and Griffiths have yet to grid. They do have some time to do so, about 30 seconds. A couple drivers have not gridded yet. Min Hang is one of them. Who's up behind Miller? Is that it's not Aiden Hill. No, I was getting confused because that's white and orange on Adam Miller's car. Still, 3 drivers in the front of the pack have yet to grid. Griffiths, Torrance, and Hang are not on there. There goes one. That's Torrance. There's Griffiths. And Min Hang will not. Yes, they will. Min Hang on the grid. That is all 12 drivers out there to start this race. It's 25 laps here on the Indy road course. What was that? Torrance, I think, went the wrong way. Torrance was just taking the inside cut. Nothing too important on that one. About half of the track they'll go through. This will be a really tight one, so be careful around here, everyone. Couple black walls and a couple red walls. The black walls are the primary tires. You'll see those as like the standard fare. The red walls are the alternate compound. A lot more grip, a lot less durability. So those drivers planning on earlier pit stops, trying to get some speed in this front section, then ride the black walls all the way home. No rain in the forecast for today. We should be good for some clear sky racing for 25 laps. Let's make sure everything else is up and running. I'm getting pinged all over the place, which is not ideal. We are on Do Not Disturb, but still, things are popping up. Pace car is off. We wait for the green flag.
Green.
We are green flag racing at the Indy road course. And immediately they'll start spreading out, looking for 4 wide with Griffiths in the front. A little bit further back is Torrance. Adam Miller and Min Hang battling for P3. Miller way on the inside. Maybe a little bit of a bump there in the back as Guillermo Perez may have had some damage on the front end as Min Hang will get around Miller for now. Miller hangs back in P4. Aiden Hill close behind. Miller ends up dropping a bit. Blinks up in front of Aiden Hill, but all looks good over there. And now the battle is Torrance, who takes the lead from Griffiths. Spencer Torrance with a lot of pressure on him in the back end as Griffiths, one of our fastest drivers today. A little bit of bobbing and weaving between the two of them and squeezes Griffiths out of the inside of the turn. Griffiths ends up colliding into the back end of Torrance, and the front wing has been split in half. Ends up crash maybe in the background as Brad Morath ends up off the circuit. Looking to get back on safely, does just that. Rodney Roberts having trouble as well, but keeps it rolling. Brandon Farley here rounds out our top 10. It is Torrance right now in the lead, and with the wing of Griffiths split in half, things have gotten much more interesting for today's race, and we'll have to keep an eye on if anything will be done about that incident, if there is any penalty to be assessed. In the meantime, here's Marlo Duncan. There's a lot of problems going on behind as Perez and Morath have ended up tangled up. It's Guillermo Perez who has spun out here on the backstretch. Let's get another look at this one real quick. Starting actually with this first incident with Brad Morath. Battling Marcamini in front. On the outside, way on the outside, and just loses it. A little bit too loose, and then we had another crash take place. We've got 2 more to go through. This is Guillermo Perez we're having a look at. What happened here? Did it snap on him is the question. Snap! Yes, it did. And you saw Marcamini in the pits there as well. So let's get back to live here with Min Hang at the moment. 3/10 back of Griffiths, missing that right portion of the front wing. And we saw there was a driver who was especially having trouble with the setup of the car. And is that him? That looks to be Adam Miller, who is having a lot of trouble with the car. Two drivers going way to the inside. That's Adam Miller on the inside. Aiden Hill on the out. Aiden Hill looking for a move on Miller. Doesn't really have the room on the outside just yet. Looks for the under-over. Got him. On the over-under, rather, Aiden Hill will get by Miller, who ended up way overshooting the corner from the inside line. Duncan gets by as well for P5. And up here over by P3, that is Hang getting by on the inside of Griffiths. This time hangs onto it much better than before. And Griffiths is going to be struggling out here until he can go to the pits. Likely headed to the pits as soon as humanly possible to repair that front wing, as well as get those new tires on the board and the fuel needed to finish the race. So what could ultimately be a race killer for Griffiths. He's hanging on to it pretty well for now. At the very least, hasn't lost the grip as Mark Cumini will get by Perret. It looks like Perret has had some trouble in pit lane now. Not ideal, to say the least. Is exiting pit lane now. There's Brad Morath right now in P9. Right where he qualified. Well, legs are getting a good little workout. I've got to make sure to sit down every now and again. Don't want to tire myself out too much. Right now, Griffiths stands a 4/10 back of Hang. It's Marlo Duncan here, about 3/10 behind Aiden Hill. Let's look a little bit up high. It's not really there, and neither is that move from Duncan. Wanted the inside of Hill, but Hill has the overspeed on the outside to stay ahead. Extends the gap to about half a second. Maybe a little bit of a cut there from Duncan. And it is a cut, is flagged for it. Will need to serve a slowdown penalty and needs to find the spot carefully as Adam Miller is fast approaching. The flag has been cleared, so Duncan can go back to normal racing. Duncan here in the middle of Hill and Miller. Currently holding on to P5. In our discussion after the Homestead Miami victory for Duncan, she mentioned how this championship is not over just yet, trying to keep up with the likes of George Griffiths. A performance like today is going to need to do a little bit better, though, as Griffiths right now is still hanging close to Min Hang, even with the split front wing. As Duncan not able to collect any points in qualifying, Griffiths got the full 5 in pole position. Nearly ended up colliding with the back end of Hang, it seems, as another crash on the board. There's some of the drivers today having trouble with this Indy road course. It is a brutal one, but it is a classic. It had to be. We needed to see Indy road course on the board, and we will have Indy Oval next week as well, as Rodney Roberts out here. The gorgeous Vision Corsa livery. We always love to shout it out. For now, about 20 seconds back of Torrance. Spencer Torrance right now with a big lead, about a second and a third on the moment. Is rocking the red walls, to be noted. Likely needs to swap them out when making his next pit stop. Torrance will need to deal with some lap traffic as well. Coming up on the first bit of it, I believe this is Perret. As this is where the pack is right now. This Perret is rather behind Miller, so this will not be who Torrance needs to worry about. Who would that be? A little bit up the track. That's the wrong button. That's the right button. This is Mark Cumini, sitting at just over a minute down, having to pit early due to an incident that took place in the early part of the race. Ended up getting a little bit caught in it. Griffiths looking for another move on Hang, perhaps. Not quite there just yet. That front wing is going to be the story of the race for today. So long as Griffiths can hang on to it, should be able to at least stay close to Hang, and likely, well, will need to use that faster pair whenever the pit comes in. Right now, just trying to stay as far ahead as he can. As Min Hang ends up catching up. Looks like Torrance had a bit of trouble around one of the turns, and now Hang looks to catch up to him and maybe make a move. The gap down to about 0.3 of a second at the moment as some back and forth. Adam Miller looks like he's had some trouble and is registered for a crash, so we'll have a look at that here in a moment. Back-to-back crashes as well. Duncan will get by for P5. So what happened here? Back and forth with Duncan. Goes to the outside and ends up losing control entirely. What happened there? That looks like a wheel lockup and ends up way off track and needs to use the extension on the far side of the track. Luckily, is able to return to the track safely, but now that's going to open the door for Duncan. About a 3-second gap now. Oh, and Griffiths may have gotten in the back end of Hang and spun him out! Griffiths ends up taking one down! The whole front wing is gone, and Hang, his car is completely destroyed. As we'll get another look at that one. We'll try to catch this from the rear suspension here. Hang now so slow as both wings gone, and Griffiths down a front wing. Look to slow this down as best we can. Perhaps a little bit slower than Griffiths was expecting. Ended up a little bit loose, and Griffiths had nowhere to really go. So Min Hang losing control a little bit of the car. Griffiths not quite ready for it. Ends up making big contact with the rear wing. Knocks it off and sends Hang spinning. And with that, Griffiths will be lacking a front wing entirely. And Hang will be registering a couple incidents here. Needs to get that car to pit lane as soon as possible. As letting a Pollard go. Yeah, that rear wing is destroyed. That car has to be pitted, like right now. No, Hang is staying out there. Oh, that's not pit. That's not the pit entrance. That's why. Pollard under pressure from Marath, who disappears and reappears for a hot second. I believe this should be the pit entrance coming up. No, pit entrance is earlier. And Hang is in for repairs. No flag has been raised, so it looks like a clean pit entrance as Duncan gets by. Griffiths has gone all the way down here to P8, also pitting for those repairs and likely making the fuel stop as well. Maybe sees that he's got the room to go for it. So for now, it'll be Torrance in the front with a 5+ second lead to Aiden Hill. Marlo Duncan in P3 as she's chased down by Adam Miller, 2 seconds back. Brad Marath right now rounds out our top 5. So even with only 12 drivers on the grid, we've got some exciting action taking place. Someone has contacted me. Okay, that's going to be for later. And that'll also be an entrance for Torrance as Marco Mini had spun out on the track. And we'll keep an eye out here for Torrance because that may have been a black flag for a that may have been too fast of a pit entry. Both of their drivers on the team will be taking the pit stop. As here comes Brad Marath, will be jumping up to P3 for the moment. It's Aiden Hill in the front. Just looking to complete a lap here, get that extra point on the board. As Mark Humini is given the meatball flag, that means required repairs on the table. I believe Mark Humini also used up the fast repair off an incident earlier in the race. Unsure of that, but possible. No black flags on the board. Everyone makes their pit entrances clean. So Duncan heading back out on the track, trying to stay ahead of Griffiths coming up here. Coming up to turn 1. Will Griffiths go to black walls? Yes. And I believe Duncan has done the same. Yes, they're both on the black walls. They're going to look to ride this out all the way to the end as we have a DNF on the table, which is unfortunate to see, but sometimes that does happen. So it looks like Farley will be out of the race as Adam Miller will take the lead. Aiden Hill goes into pit. And I don't think Aiden got the bonus point for a lead lap. It's possible, but unsure. As Adam Miller ends up in a crash again. Luckily, a similar scenario to the last time. It just ends up off the track and will need to serve the track cut flag on the board. As we'll get another look at that here in a moment. Flag is still up there, as well as for George Griffiths, who seems to be having trouble. Oh, and Adam Miller with a blink, and comes back. So looking on board with Adam Miller. This is heading up to turn 1. Miller mentioning how this setup was extremely loose, and that shows its ugly head there. And we'll just take the long way around. Still maintains a 10-second gap. Currently, it's Brad Morath in second place at the moment. Nick Pollard, Rodney Roberts, and Spencer Torrance, the top 5. From there it goes Hill, Duncan, Griffiths, Hang, Perret. Mark Humini, the last driver that's on the grid right now, as Adam Miller will be heading into pit. So if Brad Morath can stay out there for a lap or two, that could be a bonus point for Morath hitting the board, which would be great for Morath, who has not had the best of starts to the season. Nick Pollard will move up to second place here. Rodney Roberts up to third, and that should be Torrance at least up to fourth. This pit lane is very long, so likely going to be 2 more spots coming up. As there comes Marlo Duncan to take P6 away. Adam Miller back out on the track. George Griffiths coming up to turn 1, so this could be a little bit interesting here. Marcomini seems to have registered for a crash, and there he was. Adam Miller ends up on the incident board as well. Is it the same thing? Well, Miller on the out lap here, so let's have another look here. So coming out of pit lane. Nearly collides with Duncan. Not Duncan, that is Marcumini. And I think that's what registered on the board. In the meantime, Miller now has Griffiths on his tail end, and Duncan, I'm sure, would be very happy if Miller could hold him off. The 25's doing battle here at the moment for P7. Adam Miller a little bit off the track maybe. And having the overspeed is Griffiths, so look to make a move here. Has the draft to work with, needs to be careful of the air as moving to the inside is Miller and will likely hold that line. Griffiths to the outside. Trying to give way. Looking for the over-under is Griffiths. It's not there just yet. Miller washes out a little bit wide. Oh, snapping off to the left side was Griffiths. Maybe losing a little bit of grip. So for now, it'll stay at Miller in P6. As Roberts battling with Pollard. And Morath has registered a lap on the board, and so will collect the bonus point for leading a lap. Trying to stay out there as long as humanly possible. And Pollard will head into pit. Nearly missed the pit entrance, but just in time. And we'll slow on down to pit speed now. A little bit of smoke from the tires, not too bad. So Farley is still out on the track, which is nice to see, but has been struggling mightily with the track. It will stay Morath in the front. Spencer Torrance will move up to third. Duncan fifth. As Pollard into pit will put Griffiths and Miller up a position as well. Min Hang will look to add one to the board. Hang's going to be under a bit of pressure. Has to really stretch this fuel out as best as he can, because had to pit at about lap 9 or 10. 15 laps with this fuel is not exactly the easiest task. It's Roberts right now. I believe that is the same reds as he started with. Yeah, he has not pitted just yet. As Pollard exiting the pits will be passed by Perret, who takes P9. This is an especially big race for some of these drivers, not just the front runners, but those in more of the middle of the pack, as registering for a race with not many drivers means that the point total is going to be high no matter where you finish. So Farley is having a tough race out there, but will be registering those points for 12th place, which is still a pretty good amount of points. I believe that is 30 or 29, if I'm not mistaken. One of those two values. That's a good addition to add to the board. As Roberts goes in for the pit stop, putting Marlo Duncan in 4th place. Miller and Griffiths in 5th and 6th. It's still Miller in the front for now. And Duncan would be very happy to see Miller keep this battle up. Right now, Adam Miller's done well. Seems to be possibly either learning the track or the setup. Either way, it's been a big boon, not just to his race, but also to Duncan's race. Because again, as we mentioned prior, even with the qualifying points, Griffiths would still beat out Duncan on points gained today. But the important part to keep in mind is how many more points is Griffiths getting. Right now, if it stays like this, it's only going to be 3. 5, well, okay, no, Duncan actually hasn't led a lap at all today, and I don't think has the fastest lap. No, that belongs to Spencer Torrance right now. So Duncan's got to get up the board, and that's not going to help. That washout looks pretty bad. But keeping it on the track is Duncan. And Griffiths probably a little bit antsy, wants to get by Miller, who's been defending very, very well. Is Miller heading to the inside this time? No. Starts moving over. There it is. Is allowed the one move. That was before Griffiths moved. So that move is clean. Kind of parks it on the apex a little bit, which is welcome. But Griffiths is able to get by, hanging it on the inside. Griffiths moves up to P5, and now Duncan's probably sweating a little bit, as she's going to have some pressure on her real soon. We're at about lap 16 of 25 on the board. 10 more laps to go. Brad Morath right now leads the race. Did Brad pit? Brad has not pitted yet. Did Brad pit? Yes, that is a bit. I think the pit stop has to be coming up soon. And here it is. Morath into the pit box, and Torrance will be back to the lead. These pit stops have been around a full minute. Good Lord. So it could be that Morath ends up all the way down in P10 after the long stint he held. Torrance right now in the lead. Duncan will move up to 4th, or rather to 3rd, with Griffiths taking the 4th place spot. Miller close behind. Whoa, a little bit of a snap there from Griffiths. May have been a little late, but Griffiths holds that inside way better. Could have been a little bit naughty from Griffiths. We'll have to wait for official word on that, as the move came after Miller started moving towards the inside. Torrance still in the front here at lap 17, the fastest lap on the board today. Griffiths has a little bit of clean air to work with, though, so could look to steal some of that back. Morath back on the track in P8 at the moment. Lap 18 begins. Torrance leading Hill by 5 seconds. Marlo Duncan behind Hill by 4. A 4-second gap to Griffiths as well, with Adam Miller looking to close the gap. Hang, Perret, Morath, Roberts, Pollard round out the top 10, and the final drivers on the lead lap. Mark Humini and Farley in 11th and 12th. Not as many drivers as expected for today, but still plenty of talent on display for every driver trying to fight for those prize listings. We've got the $50, of course, for the oval victory, and $375 up for grabs for first place. A little bit of a blink there from Miller. Returns to the track, staying on the red tires, but is losing losing out on Griffiths, who's on the black walls at the moment. As Griffiths still leads by a second against Miller. Duncan holding on to third. A little bit of a slide there maybe. That looked to be almost the same thing from Griffiths, but Griffiths is closing the gap quickly. Down to 2 seconds now. 7 laps to go, and Duncan's got pressure. Teammate Spencer Torrence is clear in first place, but Griffiths is not making life easy for Duncan. Just that one turn alone splits the difference by 0.4 of a second, as Griffiths likely closing in on a battle with Marlo Duncan looking for the podium. A well-done turn that time, cuts the gap to 1.3. A little bit squirrely, though, could give Duncan some room. Oh, Duncan hit the curb a little bit, and that could have been a problem. As the gap has gone down to less than a second, Griffiths closing in on third place, trying to steal it away from Duncan. 1:13.69 last time. Oh, no, that's faster. A 1:14.4 versus a 1:13.2. Duncan's got pressure. Griffiths way on the outside now, almost directly into the bumper of Duncan. Wants to go to that inside real bad. Wants the over-under, no room for it just yet. Duncan needs to be really, really careful how he plays this one. As Griffiths will get alongside the wings at the door. They are side by side now. Griffiths looks to pull ahead and maybe clipped into the wheel of Duncan. Forced her to lock up big time. Griffiths ends up off the track and takes the position away. Griffiths up to third. As Marlo Duncan will fall down to fourth place at the moment. This looks like Perret has had some trouble, and that is a pit stop for Perret. That's another one. Is that Perret's first? No. Perret's been in the pits before, so unsure what happened there. Possibly some damage that occurred. There could have been a crash that we missed. As for now, the focus will be on Torrence. With 5 laps to go in a comfortable lead, Aiden Hill 5 seconds back. And Duncan trying to catch up to Griffiths, maybe looking to use his faster line to her advantage. Well, that doesn't seem to be working out as the gap has fallen. It's widened rather by 0.5 of a second. Make that 6th. Adam Miller struggling with the connection, but thankfully hasn't taken anyone out. Mark Humini is gone to pit lane for a tow for a big crash. As it stays, the lead stays with Torrence. A little bit squirrely out of that turn. A 1:12.807, Torrance's best lap compared to the 1:12.897 from Griffiths. Griffiths seems unable to catch up to Hill at the moment, although the gap is starting to shorten a little. .113.8 versus 1:13.2. That's a 3, rather. Still a half-second difference. Griffiths catching up to that second place spot. Torrence at the moment was looking at a P11 heading into today. Will definitely be moving up the standings if this result can hold. Just 4 more laps to go for Torrence, as Adam Miller will be putting pressure on Duncan. You can see behind the car of Marlo Duncan as she tries to hold off Miller as best she can. Closing the gap a little bit off that turn, but Duncan gets the overspeed on exit. A little bit squirrely out of that turn was Miller. Full throttle. The gap now down to about half a second heading into turn number 1. Torrence, in the meantime, qualified in second, got the 4 points there. What's happened here? Saw a change of positions here. Unsure exactly what it was. I believe it was a Miller internet drop for a hot second. 3 more laps to go. Torrence still extending the gap between himself and Aiden Hill. Griffith's gap down to about 4 seconds. Trying to track down Hill, his own. Duncan with Miller behind has lost sight of Griffiths. Now in the front of this pack. Has made her one move. Will stay on the outside for this turn. Nice and easy. Into turn 1. We have a look with Miller here. A little bit of a vanish there for a hot second, but we are back. Keeping an eye on Torrence now, as we'll get on board with him, and we are headed close towards the end of this race. A lot of drama in the beginning as Griffiths ended up knocking out his front wing, colliding into Torrence. We'll have to watch that one back when we're done with this race, but for now, we stay on board with Torrence as we are white flag racing here at the Indianapolis Road Course. Torrence heading into turn 1. Watch those markers. About 400 is the sweet spot. As Guillermo Perez has actually stolen the fastest lap, 1:12.339. A little bit squirrely maybe there from Torrence. Last lap was in the 1:14s, but the main focus for Torrence is just to finish this race. Keep it nice and easy. Keep it on the track. Into the 90-degree left-hander. May have gone a little bit loose, but hangs on to it. Through the chicane. Has a sharp right to go through. It'll smooth itself out, and onto the oval he'll go into the final 90-degree turn. One last little loop. Swings right to go into the lefty. A hard left it is. And then the wide right-hand turn to see the checkered flag. Spencer Torrence holds on and wins it at the Indianapolis Road Course. Aiden Hill was under a ton of pressure from Griffiths close behind, but Griffiths unable to keep up, will take third place. And it looks like Duncan was in a heated battle with Miller around the final corner, but it will go to Duncan, who takes P4 for today. Miller in 5th. It's Min Hang looking to sneak into P6. A big struggle for Hang after getting bumped in the back and losing his rear wing. Will end up with the finish. And Marath, I believe, will be our final driver on the board, as Roberts has parked it in the grass. Marath will cross the line, has one more behind for P7. Here's Brandon Farley, who will take P11 for today, as Mark Kumini ended up in a pretty big crash and actually lost out on that P11 spot. And that'll do it for our race today. It is Spencer Torrance doing the donuts, joined by teammate Duncan with P4 in tow. As we'll look to get a couple people in here, we'd like to say hello and drag people in. Griffiths will be our first guest of the day. That is okay, but right now it's just Griffiths. Oh my goodness, people, watch out. What are you doing, Torrance? That's your teammate you just ripped the nose off of. A little bit of fun between teammates. Let's get Griffiths in here. We've also got Aiden Hill ready to join us, and hopefully Torrance. Oh my, a big collision there after the race. One last spin for the crowd. Joining us now is George Griffiths after the third place finish. Couple big incidents in the earlier parts of the race, getting in the back of both Hang and Torrance, but still managing a P3 finish. Would you say you're satisfied with the finish despite all the chaos that happened?
Yeah, despite all the chaos that happened, I'll take a P3. It's a podium, but whole race, even with the incidents, a bit disappointed because showed pace in qualifying and knew I probably could have run away with it if I didn't get that damage, and then also had an unfortunate pit stop with tire decisions and last-minute changes.
The last-minute changes bite again. Again, we had on screen the incident with Hang. We saw it was Hang getting a little bit loose, and like when a driver gets loose in a full-speed corner, there's just kind of nothing that you can really do. We'll see if the stewards think similarly, but ultimately it rips off the front wing. How hard is the car to drive when you're missing a front wing like that?
Impossible. I don't know exactly what the gap was, but in the span of one lap, I dropped back from Spencer a lot and knew I needed to pit, and I was just hoping that that pit stop would get me to the end. Ended up doing some fuel saving, but it worked out in the end.
Especially given you were catching up to Aiden Hill quite a bit. That gap went down to about 2 seconds right at the end, but still Hill able to hold on. Still, congratulations on P3. Also, congratulations to the pole position, collecting the 5 bonus points and keeping that gap to Duncan expanding rather than shrinking.
Thank you very much.
For
See
now,
you next week for the Indy 500.
See you next week. It's not quite the 500, but it's going to be a fun one.
Indy, the shorter Indy.
Yes, I think it's the Indy 90, if I had to guess.
Right.
I don't quite know off the top of my head, but before we get a little bit too off track, let's get Aiden Hill in here. Joined now by our second place driver, Aiden Hill, a bit of a beneficiary of some troubling incidents that happened at the start, still able to hold on. Are you happy with today's results?
Absolutely.
Fair enough. We saw you were having, you hung in there about as best as you could, despite this guy, George, over here, really coming in close to make things a little bit troubling for you. How much pressure did it put on you that that guy is right behind you?
Well, I had a race engineer in my ear basically telling me how far he was and how many laps we had left and if, he was going to be able to catch me and whatnot. But I kept looking at the relative and I kept seeing that time decrease and decrease and decrease. So it was definitely very nerve-wracking.
We also have someone from the chat, ASIUS Patent 744. It gives you a good drive and a congrats on your P2 spot, collecting the 40 points for today. I don't know if that's someone you're familiar with. Not quite.
Yeah, that was the race engineer.
That's your race engineer. Well, hello to the race engineer of Hill. You've done very well so far, from what I could see, and congratulations, of course. The 40 points is big, as always, especially with some of the fields missing for today, especially Jacob Schneider not here today. That'll be big to move up the standings potentially and really get a good fight for the win as the season keeps going.
Absolutely.
Well, let's bring in our race winner for today. Welcome in Spencer Torrance. Saw you had a little bit of fun with your teammate there after the race, and a big congratulations for today. A bit of a beneficiary, perhaps, of some bit of a contact. As a matter of fact, I actually want to talk about that incident first. We got this race started as it was here, actually. George ends up getting in the back of you towards the start of the race. Can you tell us about what happened on your end, and then we'll hear from George on what his perspective of it was?
Well, it's the start of the race. The car has a known issue of rear end stability. I was offline on the inside. I wanted to be careful putting down power, so I was a little careful. I think George just wasn't expecting it. It happens. It's racing.
That is fair, and also good to see that not getting the most upset about it as is understandable, because again, this is just racing. It is sometimes a thing that happens, and not many drivers got collected by it, thankfully. But as we have another look at it, it's just sometimes it's things that you can't quite expect. A little bit slow on exit, and Griffiths had the better jump, but couldn't slow down enough, and it ends up actually helping you out a lot. Were you, I guess not happy he damaged his wing, but were you happy to see that gap start to expand a little bit while that front half of his wing was missing?
Nope. I wanted to race all the way. Me and him are basically right on top of each other on pace. Having the rear wing go was just like, oh, there goes any chance of having fun.
That is fair. Still ends up with a victory on your side. I know teammate Duncan was. Give me this. I know we won't get to speak with Duncan today. Maybe she'll show up. But how terrifying was Duncan seeing George behind, closing in on her?
The exact words were, and I quote, "Oh God, here comes George."
I like that kind of thing over and over as the gap closed more and more.
Just one time. Just, oh God, here comes George.
Just once. Okay, fair enough. Well,
Yeah.
Still, congratulations to you, Torrance, and congratulations to everyone here for getting on the podium. What do we have here? I'm getting pinged on something. Okay. I'm just going to need to do some back-end stuff. That was Aaron who pinged me. Congratulations, all of you. Thank you very much for joining us, and a good luck to all of you as we head to the Indianapolis Oval next week on the 7th. 50 laps around the classic Indy Oval to end the first half of the season, our second double points race of the season. Gentlemen, I hope we get to see you there, and I hope you guys put on quite the show. George, are you putting on a show? You better. Fair enough. A little bit more apprehensive, but still looking forward to it. Well, thank you very much for joining us. I'll let you get out of here. And for the rest of you here today, thank you so much for joining us here on the PRA Network. Indy Oval coming up next week for the IndyCar Vision Corsa Tuesday Night Series here at the Prodigy Racing Association. We'll be back next week for what's hoping to be quite the exciting event. We'll see you next week.